3, 2, 1.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Desync podcast. Just a quick announcement. We're really happy. I mean, we've talked a lot about content creation on this channel, but we've hit the 4,000 hours to be a monetized YouTube channel, but we're missing a little bit of a piece. I don't know where we're at right now, but I checked this morning and we were about at 850 subs. You need to be at
Yep.
1,000 to fully monetize your channel. And it's not necessarily about being monetized and making money. It's also being a part of that YouTube algorithm, right? That really helps the channel out. So if you
It's the
are
biggest
enjoying
part.
the Desync podcast, if you are enjoying it, please make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Obviously, like if you guys watch podcasts, it'll come up on your recommended often, and sometimes you forget. So if you have forgotten, make sure you hit that because it'll really help us out. And one of the things we're gonna do when we hit that big magical number is we'll start posting the podcast on your favorite podcast platforms in audio format. So for the people who like to listen in the car, ad free, all that stuff. Obviously, we'll eventually get some sponsors and stuff here, so not entirely ad free, but yeah, that's the direction we want to go in. We just wanted to make sure we got our channel as like set up and ready to go here before we moved on to the next step, and you guys can help get us there. So thank you for all the support on last week's show. It was pretty awesome. So many positive comments. They really
Yeah.
loved it. And it just, I don't know, this has kind of been like a fun little passion project for us, which it's been fun. I look forward to it
Dude,
every week.
isn't it weird that when we first started the podcast, we were like, yeah, we're not going to have guests on. It's just going to be us talking every week. We're like,
And
we'll
now
find
we're
stuff to talk
looking
about.
for a guest every week.
Yeah,
'cause
now
it's
we're looking
been-
because
it's been good.
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And this week, just to like give a little, we have tons of things to talk about now, but when we first popped on, we were like, so we don't have a guest. What are we gonna do? Because we got kind of used to like finding out what the guest is all about, and then the conversation just goes. It flows from there. And then Berks and I were like, all right, so what's up? What's been going on with you? So that's where we're at. But I guess one thing we've been talking a lot personally is where we're at, like in our content creation space. The game we play
oh yeah.
regularly, as many of you guys know, Star Citizen has had a rough first 8 months of the year, really rough. And it's such a weird place because the game is in a wonderful place as far as like the the gameplay is better than it's probably ever been.
Yep.
But it's had a rough go of it, and we're in kind of one of these uh downturns of, I guess, people's interest in the game, right? So I am in a place where I'm feeling weird about my content. I don't know what's going on, but the Berks and I
Mike,
have been talking a lot, and I think you're doing great. So
I kind of
tell
feel
me,
weird
how do
about
you
your
feel?
content too, honestly.
How
Every time
does it make you feel? Tell me about it.
Honestly, it's hard to stomach, dude. Like I see someone who's really
I thought you were
struggling.
gonna get warm and tingly. I thought you were gonna get warm and tingly inside.
No, I love your content, honestly. I mean, it's like really, I feel like you do have like a lot of good input and stuff on like your reacts and stuff. I know you've been doing a lot of those, which is why I'm commenting on them. But man, I do want to see you do. It's like, it's so funny because every time I talk to Mike, he's like, yeah, I'm working on this incredible video. It's gonna be so good. And I'm like,
And then
all
I
right,
never do it.
When's it coming out? When's it coming out?
And then I give up.
Yeah.
It's where like I've just been in this rut of is it good enough? Is it worth it? Right? And then one thing you've been doing is going, well, screw it, and just posting not whatever. I think everything I've watched from you has been quality stuff, but you're going out
I
there.
appreciate it.
You found your to me, you found your
I
maybe
feel like
not
I'm in a good
niche,
spot.
but yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, talk
It's
to me about it. Like
well,
what have
it's
you been
weird.
doing lately, and why do you feel like you're in a good spot?
Well, the first thing is I hired an editor, and that's honestly been pretty big. Really good guy. His name is Berks, and he has tremendously helped me. And
Wait,
I worked
his
with
name
him.
is Berks?
Bergs, Burgz. I know, Bergs and Berks, but his name is Burgers actually, but he goes by Bergs, and super good guy. And basically, the deal with him is I'd worked with him in the past, and I took a break from YouTube, and so I didn't need an editor because I wasn't posting videos, and I should have been posting videos, and I stopped. So I reached back out to him, got him involved, and honestly, the weirdest part for me is I worked in film for 10 years, so I'm a perfectionist. I need my handprint on things. I need it to be my way. And what I've been doing lately is I'm not even watching the videos that he edits for me. Like literally the videos that I've been posting on YouTube lately, haven't even watched them. And it's not because I like think his quality is bad or whatever. I just had to give up control because I just don't have time for everything. You know, I don't have time to edit and also, you know, do a podcast and also stream and also, you know, work on like new content for the stream and like potential sponsorships and stuff. So basically I've got to myself to a point where I'm like, I need a team, like people who can help me. And I mean, I consider myself or yourself one of those people who I feel like I'm bouncing ideas off of. You're helping me. But the other thing is I started doing, it's so funny because it was after one of the podcasts that we talked about content that we love. And you said, are you making content you would want to watch? And that was like the switch for me that I was like, I got to get back to what I was doing before. I was making all the content that I thought the Star Citizen community needed and not the content that I felt like I wanted to watch or I wanted to make. Right. And I feel like I'm getting back there and I'm really happy with the videos and kind of the experiences I've been getting in Star Citizen. I've been trying new stuff. I've been doing something absolutely unthinkable, which is talking to people in the video game.
Ugh,
I know.
disgusting.
It's just gross.
Well, to be honest, in Star Citizen, it's a very challenging thing at times. So
It
it's
is,
kind of gross.
Well, I mean, it's like Star Citizen doesn't make it easy. Like today,
No.
I'm having a really cool moment with someone where I'm helping a new player who's new to the game learn how to like clear their crime stat. Bounty hunters are chasing us down. We're fighting them off together, but his VoIP isn't working. He can't hear me. I can't hear him. And so literally I'm having to painstakingly type paragraphs out to him on what to do, how to do it. And I'm just like, this is like not what I want. But then you have these moments where, you know, you fly down to this, you know, this station and or this outpost and someone's about to be pirated and you VoIP them like, hey, we're going to team up. Can you hear me? Like, we got this, you know, do this. And then you like help them barely get away with millions in gold. Like those are the moments I kind of live for, like the team ups, the interactions, like whether they're good or bad. Like sometimes it's fun to be the bad guy. Sometimes it's good to be the bad or the good guy. But I like the player interaction. That's why I play video games. Single player games don't really do it. So it's fun for me, like living in that space. And I feel like I'm finally creating the content that I want to. And to be honest, I don't see a lot of like, it's not like I'm getting hundreds of thousands of views or anything. I had one video that did really well. Yeah. But I think that what I'm doing is I'm creating a template. I'm setting myself up for success. So when Star Citizen hits that next big wave, like I'm already there. I'm good to go.
I don't know if we've ever talked about it on the podcast, but we've definitely talked about it in private conversations. Is you have to make your own luck, and I think you're absolutely doing that. And I think for me lately, I've been doing the opposite. I feel like I've been putting myself in a position to not be successful or you know, run into more problems maybe than I need to. Uh, and you know, just thinking now when you said make the content that you like to consume or whatever, or make the content that you want to make, I feel like I know what that is again. And yeah, so just like even the beginning of this podcast is helping me sort of find my way. It isn't,
It's good, man.
it maybe isn't what I want to do long term, but I do think like the commentary stuff, I've really sort of found a little place there, and I think I am happy with commenting on the current state of the game or some little bit of news around it or hey, this new thing came out this week. What do you guys think about it? And then I always wanted to make guide content. I know that's something you've like Are you
Dude,
moving away
I
from it?
don't like making guide content. I
Yeah.
like it for the community. That's one of the things that I bleed for the community for. The
Yeah.
payout that I get for that, the payoff, not necessarily the money, but
Yeah.
what I get from that is far less than what I'm giving to the community. Like, and I mean that in like I do it for the community because the amount of time and effort I put into those guides to like be so comprehensive that someone can
Mhm.
watch one video. Yes, it's like 30 minutes long, but they can watch one video and feel like I have all the tools I need to play the game.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. It would be
Yeah.
easier to make a 3 hour long video because
Yeah.
cutting it down and condensing it into, palpable information that doesn't feel like I'm wasting your time, that is tough to do. It's super
Yeah.
tough to do. So, I mean, man, there are people who do the guides already, and some of them do a really good job. But it's like every update, I don't put one out. People are like, "Oh, where's the guide? I need the guide. I was gonna send this to my friends, whatever." And so, I mean, hey, listen, dude, you want to take the mantle up? It's all you.
I don't know.
We got to get
I
you
don't
your
know.
referral javelin.
Oh, true. Yeah, I'm the only one of all of our friends that like doesn't have one at this point. But it's just like whenever I watch content from other games, games that I'm becoming interested in, those are the people I gravitate to. The people that are really into what's going on with the game and how the game
Hmm.
works, and I those are the people I gravitate to. So I think that's where I wanna gravitate myself to, and I could still do the type of videos, that we I think we talked about them on the show at some point of the type of videos that you've been making lately is just like gameplay videos and like, "Hey, this is what happened," and "Here's this cool thing that happened to me. Let me tell you the
Yeah.
story of my," I don't know, it's almost like Tarkov raid content, right? Like, you ever watch, like, Tarkov content where, uh, I don't know, one of my favorite people to watch would be, like, a Deadly Slob or a Pestilly, where it's like, "Hey, watch this cool raid that I just did," you know?
Yeah.
And I would like to get to that place too as well one day, and we'll see. But I think for now, I think that's where I can find myself. So, yeah, and it took this podcast to maybe remind myself of that, but,
It's good, man.
yeah.
I'm a big believer in vocalizing your goals. I think
Yeah.
that I don't think enough people do it. It's
No.
like I think that if you really want to do something, vocalizing it and like taking small steps towards it is like the best thing to do. Because it's like I said this on a different podcast, but if you want success like nobody else, you have to work like nobody else. And it doesn't
Yeah.
mean work harder. Sometimes it does, but it means you got to be different, you know?
Yeah.
And at the end of the
I
day, it's
guess in
like
this way, I would be the same maybe as a lot of people, but I don't know. I think when it comes to
not for Star
commentary,
Citizen though, right?
I'm definitely different than most people. I definitely
Yeah.
have a different approach that maybe people are a little bit afraid to do. I noticed like people in our community really want to be positive,
Hmm.
and they really don't want to say the things that they might be feeling about this the way the way things have been for the game or whatever, right? Um
Yeah.
and I don't know that whenever you got to look at your positive comments too, right? Like the things that people say in your comment section and what they like. And I'm constantly hearing, "Thank you for being our voice in these situations," or "Thank you for always, uh, telling it like it is." Or I don't necessarily think I tell it like it is. I think everybody has their own opinion about things and stuff like that. But um, yeah, you can't always just look at the negative comments, right? Like the positive comments also tell you what you should be doing.
Yeah,
Negative comments might tell
absolutely.
you what you shouldn't be doing, but positive ones tell you what you should. And I don't know. So that's where we're at right now. I don't know. I think figuring things out still for me. I think you're really in. I guess I would say like fourth gear, maybe fifth gear.
I definitely feel
And
like I'm in my zone when it comes to
yeah,
content creation, for sure. Maybe I could
yeah.
get a
Like
little
we would.
better at YouTube, but I feel like I'm in
I
my zone.
mean, yeah, but that's just a matter of time. And but every time we talk, you're like, I'm doing this. I got this. And it's just like you are on a nice straight road, and I'm on a very windy one for the moment, figuring it out. But yeah, man. Um, as far as like other things that happened this week, did you see we touched on the React stuff last week. Did you see the I did
Oh
not
my
watch it,
god, bro.
but the XQC and Ethan Klein H3 podcast thing, I
It
just
was
saw
a
some
train
clips of it.
wreck.
Of course.
He
Ethan's a bit of a like if he doesn't if he doesn't like you, he will find a way to, and this is one thing I really don't like about him, is he'll find a way to militarize his audience against you. And XQC doesn't really deserve any protection in this scenario, right? But at the same time, it's I don't
yeah,
know.
it's like between that, did you see the leaked DMs?
Yeah, I mean that's just
Yeah.
so cringe. Like we're talking about a guy who's been on YouTube for 10 plus years making millions of dollars, and like you get one, yeah, you got a huge deal, but I think Ethan's doing just fine. We don't He drives a Bentley, guys. Like we don't need to talk about money here between
Yeah.
these two. It doesn't matter.
It was just if you guys didn't see it, basically what happened was you have after the podcast happened with Ethan and X, essentially what happened was XQC was very on the defensive the whole time.
Yeah.
What do you expect, right? Ethan is attacking him the whole time. Yes, like I don't think that X is doing the React content the way he should be.
No.
But like literally stealing thumbnails, just putting his face on it. He's re-uploading content that's he's not saying much about. He's not making it transformative. He's not really adding his opinion. He's not shouting people out. Maybe a link in the description. That was the main problem they had. And essentially, Ethan even reached out to one person that was, did you see this? He reached out to one person that was basically he reacted to, and he's like, did X get like your permission? Right after X was like, hey, I get permission from all the people I react to, or most of them. And he's like, well, what about this guy? He's like, I just reached out to this guy. He said you didn't. And, then he elaborated why, like that was bad. And then X, basically accused him of being a paid actor and that Ethan is setting him up and blah, blah, blah. And, I guess he kind of did a little bit, right? He, came with these stuff. But the point is that he's still in the wrong, right? Like,
Yeah. 100%. And this is coming
egregiously.
from somebody who makes React content.
Right.
And I think I fall somewhere in the middle of an XQC and probably the most transformative and best React content. Is I'm still learning my way to do it as good as possible. But
Yeah.
he really does, like there's nothing wrong with being like, you know what, guys, you're right. I'm sorry. I'll try to be better. But he's just incapable of doing it, so
Exactly.
he'll just do the worm like in the video and stuff. It's just so weird, dude.
No, yeah. And so, X is obviously getting really defensive. Ethan was ready to attack him on this. And
Yeah.
that's like, is that like the, holiest thing of all time? Is that the good guy thing to do? No, but like X kind
Not
of
at all.
deserved it. He deserved it. He
Sure.
needed to be called out a little bit. But like you said, he's incapable of wanting to change. And so Ethan leaks private DMs between the two. And X is like, I wear a watch that's worth your whole house. And, don't forget that. And, basically just trying to like ego boost himself over him, quote unquote, embarrassing him on his podcast, saying that it was like a setup and stuff. But in reality, it's like if you were just doing things the right way and respecting other creators, this wouldn't have been a problem. I don't think anyone has a problem with that. And if they do, again, I'm super pro YouTube. Putting on reacts, no, and then automatically DMCAing it, right?
Yeah.
Like that would be
what I've been doing
a great
all week?
option.
All week I've been messaging the creators that I regularly watch, or a video that I think is interesting. And I've just been messaging all of them and being like, hey, I don't know if you've been seeing all this stuff, but I think it's definitely time. And I apologize I haven't done it sooner, but it's definitely time to ask you, is it okay if I react to your content? And everybody so far has said yes. And there was one exception in like a certain type of video that like they put a lot of effort into, and they don't even make money on the video because it's like really long to edit, and they pay an editor and all these things. And they were like, you could watch anything that doesn't say this. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And then they went, you know what? I don't what do you want to come on and make that the next video like of this genre with me? Because I'd love to have your input on it while we make the, so it was like kind of like a, and it's just like, I don't know, these things have for me have made such good relationships with other creators. Unfortunately, maybe a couple not such good relationships, and that sucks. But for the most part, I've had incredibly positive experiences through it. And I think it was about always shouting them out, always linking the there's a couple times
Yeah.
where I have not, and it's like just total uh bonehead. I missed it, like putting their link in the description. And aside from that, like of a few just miscommunication things, it's been a great experience, and I want to keep doing them, but I want to do them in the because people love them and I love doing them. But I want to do them in the most transformative and best way possible, and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
and again, it's like it's just about respect, mutual respect. But
exactly. So I'm out there getting the 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 go, okay or no go no
uh
go with everybody
okay.
right now.
Speaking of mutual respect, is
I know where we're
do
going.
you know where we're going?
Yes.
Um did you see uh basically, if you guys didn't see, there was an esports thing that got released this week where this guy was quote unquote like being toxic. It was a
Mhm.
Valorant tournament. Essentially, he killed someone in the tournament, and he like goes up to his body, shoots the ground where he was standing, teabags him, and then walks away. And people are basically calling for this guy to get banned from the tournament, get removed from the organization he's a part of. And I saw that and I was just like, man, I don't really see the problem here. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't really see the problem with people being like a little bit of competitive, like, in my opinion, that's like almost a little competitive shit talking, but like you're doing it through an action in the game. I don't know. What do you think?
I I saw a tweet and I resonated with this tweet so much about this subject, and it
Okay.
was esports is doing so bad for a lot of reasons, but one of them is they are so scared to lose these like high-end sponsors that they're not willing to let some players be villains. And great stories have villains, and great
Hmm.
stories make great content and all these things, right? So allowing this kid to be a little bit toxic where it's not hurting anybody's feelings, but it's what is it? BM, right? It's bad manners in the game. Well, now you've just created a rivalry between two players or between two teams, and now you have a story to tell as a commentator. Why aren't like have you guys seen? Did you guys see the baseball fight this week? It was crazy. So
No.
there, okay, there was there. I don't know the two teams. I know one of them was the White Sox. I can't remember the. I think it was like the Indians, and well, they're not the Indians anymore. Cleveland. I don't know what their name is anymore, but they're a different name now. I don't follow baseball, but I kept seeing this clip because it was nuts, dude. A day before, guy on the White Sox slides into second base, and it's like a double play situation. A lot of you guys might sound I might be speaking another language, but essentially, this is baseball is a very tame sport. This is the time where it is not tame. This is where you stick your metal cleats up and hit somebody's knee or leg, or you're basically trying to knock them off balance so they can't throw the ball very well. It's super dangerous. It can lead to some crazy situations, and this guy sort of did that. Okay. He does it one day. The next day, it's the opposite scenario where it's the Cleveland player that has the opportunity to do this, and he does it, and it turns into a fight. And the Cleveland player knocks the guy out, basically.
Jesus.
Like they drop gloves, put up fists and everything, and he just got a piece of him, and like the guy stumbled and fell over. And it's like you don't see that stuff in baseball. Everybody's talking about this thing now. Who the hell talks about baseball anymore? Everybody was for one day. You know what I mean?
There's
Because
some
this thing was
baseball fans in
crazy.
the comments who are going to be like, "What do you mean, bro? I
Listen,
watch baseball all
I,
the time."
I played college baseball. watching baseball is boring. I'm sorry. And compared to so many other sports, it is slow. They're doing a better job of it these days, but it's slow. It's boring. I've never enjoyed it. I love playing it, so I am a baseball fan, I guess, but it isn't the easiest sport to consume these days.
Fair enough.
But yeah, it's like those are the type of things that you need to allow to happen, right? Is you need to allow stories to unfold, and as long as you're not, you know, uh, doing drugs, breaking the law, saying really terrible things, why aren't we letting people be themselves and have their personalities? Like these are where stories come from,
Hmm.
and yeah, I think like as far as esports leagues compared to like the NFL, the NBA, who really allow their players to be themselves for the most part. Um, that I think that's where they're failing in a lot of places.
Interesting. Now, you probably don't know the answer to this question, but I have to imagine that those players got suspended or something, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I can look it up, but I'm assuming they did. That's insane.
Yeah.
For them not to.
But like, I mean, we can't even compare, right? Like, and if you're listening, I'm sure you'd agree. And tell me if you don't, but you can't even compare someone knocking someone out to someone teabagging someone in a game, right?
No,
It's
I
like
mean
ridiculous. It's basically doing a touchdown dance. You know, it's
they
the
got
equivalent to me.
the the guy who knocked him out, which is it's so weird. The first guy threw the first punch. The guy who got knocked out threw the first punch and put his fist up and threw his glove down.
Wow.
Got a 3-game suspension. The guy who basically was defending himself got a 6-game suspension.
Wow.
So I don't know. That's my view
Insane.
on the thing. But yeah, it's the kids are watching in both sports, right? Kids are aspiring to be esports players and aspiring to be streamers and aspiring to be YouTubers more
I was going to say
than
probably more so than
yeah,
baseball.
than doctors and baseball players and all those things nowadays, right? So there is a need to maybe go the ninja route when he was popping off and like not cursing or whatever, right? And maybe that's how esports feels they need to be, but I don't think that's the long term play in terms of you got to let your players be themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at the NBA, look at football, NFL, look at hockey, right? We were talking about this, and it's
Hockey
something that
doesn't do it enough or at all. Um, I can give one of the best examples was, have you heard of Alexander Ovechkin?
mm-mm.
Have you heard of Wayne Gretzky?
Yes.
Okay, well, Alexander Ovechkin has a chance to break Wayne Gretzky's goal record, which was
Wow.
basically something that people thought would never be broken. So this dude comes in, he's just comes in, young kid, has a tinted visor, right? Like have you ever seen that before? He had yellow laces. It was just he was like the Michael. He was just, like they were calling him like the Michael Jordan of hockey, right? He was flashy. They banned the tinted visor. They banned the yellow laces. He scored like a bunch of goals in a game, dropped a stick on the ground, and pretended like it was on fire, and he was warming his hands over the campfire, and they like gave him a fine for
That's
that,
awesome. That's
right? But
so
like that,
awesome.
but the league was like doing what esports is doing and actively working against like these guys being themselves, because like hockey players are like Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin came into the league at the same time, and they're both generational players, legends. They will be Hall of Famers. And Sidney Crosby will be like, we just gotta get pucks in deep, play as a team, just like super straight and arrow kind of guy, and very little personality, I would say. And then you have this other guy, and they want this other guy to be the no personal, be like the no personality person, and that's why I think hockey is not a very popular sport in the United States. People want stories, people want personality, and esports needs that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like another situation, there was a little bit ago, and This wasn't like a major league event or anything, so I'll give them a little bit of credit because they're goofballs, they're noobs. But essentially, what happened was there was a tournament going on for Apex, and someone got banned for teabagging a dead player. Turns out that dead player was his teammate. And people are spamming in the chat, that was his teammate, that was his teammate. And they're like, we don't care. We don't allow that kind of disrespect, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, man, grow up. Because for me, the line when it comes to video games is like when you bring the real life stuff in it. Call me a shit player. Call me a bad pilot. Call me, this, that, and the other. But the second you're like bringing like my real life into it, I feel like that's over the line. Right. But like, man, I don't think there's anything wrong with a little celebrating. I don't think there's anything, especially in these high tense situations. Right. Like, I'm sure everyone up there is feeling nervous. They're feeling the need to like celebrate the small wins when they get that like crazy kill against some of the best players in the world. Right. Yeah. And so if they end up like, I don't think that this guy got punished. I'd have to look it up. But people are calling for it to happen, and even the commentator was like, "Oh man, I wouldn't celebrate like that." And it's just
it's like, why not?
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
why not?
It would be crazy to me for a sponsor to look at that and be like, "Yeah, I don't want to advertise my product here anymore." Like that is, in my opinion, the lamest, the weakest kind of like representation when it comes to playing video games, because that's what it's about, man. It's about owning each other. And then of course at the end of the day you got to be grown-ups too and like shake hands and be like, good game or whatever, right? Like, I'm not saying be assholes all the time, but I feel like it's okay to celebrate. It's okay to push into that a little bit. Like you said, it's okay to be yourself. Man, I couldn't imagine.
It just made me think of I was playing one time and there was this guy who didn't belong in the league that we were playing in, right? And like easily was a professional player at some point or aspiring to be one. And I was playing, this is a hockey league, and this was maybe a year ago. And he got thrown out of the game for, if you get 3 penalties, you get thrown out of the game in our league. And he was kind of a dick, and so he got thrown out. And he was their best player by far, cost them the game, and I scored the game-winning goal for our team to beat them and knock them out of the playoffs. And he got kicked out of the game, so he's in the stands. And I just looked up at the stands and did like one of these, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get my ass kicked after this game. But in that moment, it's just all of it comes out, and you gotta let players do that. And he wasn't there to shake my hand at the end of the game, but I know he would have, right? And like most of us would just be, maybe not this guy, but most people would have. Everybody leaves it out on the court, on the field, wherever, and for the most part, everyone's like, "Yep, good game after. It's no big deal." But in the moment, let it go.
Okay, I'm gonna get this totally wrong because I'm not a sports fan. But probably one of the most iconic games for me of all time was a Super Bowl game. And essentially it was, I think the Patriots had been undefeated the entire season. They had not lost a single, was it the Giants?
Yeah, the Giants beat them.
Okay, it was against the Giants. I thought it was the Giants. Yeah, so Patriots, the whole season, they're literally like, the odds for them winning are like through the roof. Nobody thinks they're going to lose. They're just undefeated. And then literally the Giants end up winning, I think in the fourth quarter, maybe in overtime. I can't remember.
I think it was close. In the fourth quarter, and it was a crazy play. Guy catches a ball off his helmet and stuff.
Yes.
It was nuts.
Wild. And they walked off the field for the first time in history, I think, without shaking hands with the other team. They literally straight to the locker room. Straight to the locker room. It was a huge deal. Yeah, I might be misremembering this, so if I am, sorry. But yeah, it was a massive deal. And honestly, man, I kind of love that. I think that if I was on that team, I probably would have done the same thing. Imagine winning every game of the season and then just
Okay, so I looked it up. It wasn't the Giants Super Bowl. It was when the Eagles won. Tom Brady did not shake hands with quarterback Nick Foles, which is like a common, like the quarterbacks walk up to each other, they shake hands, and that's what they do. Like, oh,
man,
great,
are you
great
sure?
game, brother.
I'm pretty sure it was like it was a pretty big deal that the Patriots, like, I thought they walked off the field without like saying anything or like shaking hands. They went straight to the locker room. I might be wrong, but
This was
that's what I
it was
remember.
4 years ago. Does that kind of
No, it was
make
longer
sense?
than that.
Longer than that?
Longer
Okay.
than that.
Well,
It was like
maybe this is a common Tom Brady thing.
it was like, let me put it this way. It was like 2013 or 2012. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, it looks like Tom Brady's done this multiple times. So, we found the sore loser here. I've only done it one time. We didn't even finish the game. We just walked off.
Imagine the devastation. Like, I understand that, man. I feel for him almost. Imagine the devastation. You know, of course you've got to perform. You know, of course, like, the winner's the winner. The game is the game still. But
Yep.
I mean, I almost would rather them be human, is what I'm saying. And I guess that's what we're both saying in this situation. I'd rather them be human than pretend like they're not and just like shake hands and then not get mad, whatever. When clearly that's an upsetting loss.
What you're supposed to do.
Well, I don't think that anyone had ever been undefeated up till the Super Bowl and then won. I don't think that's happened before.
Well, only one team, yeah.
Maybe it was only one team?
The Miami Dolphins, yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
They're the only undefeated team in NFL history, but it's different because I think they certainly played less games than they play now, but when the Patriots were, it wasn't that. So they're the only one, but it's the team that Tom Brady was on won more games than in a row, like undefeated, than that team. It's just you had to play more games, and they lost in the last.
Okay,
one.
Yeah, I didn't.
So
realize. That makes sense.
I think they are still like, technically the best, but if you don't win the Super Bowl, it doesn't really count, kind of thing. It's sort of how that one works.
Which is, I mean, listen, you got to win. You got to win the Super Bowl too, you know?
Yep.
You got to win the Super Bowl too. I bet the Giants were feeling fucking unstoppable that night, though. Imagine, dude. There's got to be someone out there who is still reaping the rewards of they bet on them winning, and they just absolutely just cashed in on that. And the opposite too. I bet some people lost big money that day.
Oh yeah.
100%. But I mean, that goes to show, man, it's still gambling. You never know what's going to happen. Right.
See, this has got me going back to high school. We beat this for some reason, a private school was in our conference for hockey, and a private school can recruit people, but a public school can't. So they never lost a game for 2 years. And we beat them in the championship game on my birthday, my 18th birthday, my senior year of high school. And that was the greatest feeling ever. Yeah, and our coaches were real young, and we partied. We partied a little bit after, and it was that was wild, man. We were on top of the world. There's no better feeling than winning when you're not supposed to. You know?
Oh man, dude, so awesome. Love a good comeback story. Love a good underdog story.
Hell
okay,
yeah.
Well, I feel like this is a good time to transition into our main topic, which
Let's go for it.
Well, I kind of want to pivot a little bit here because I feel like I have a interesting idea, which is because the original way that this topic came up is what I told Mike is I had a really hot take on stream that most of my chat disagreed with me on. So we're gonna talk about this, and then I want to hear a hot take that you had that your stream didn't agree with you on. If you can think of one.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, you can think about it. You can think about it while we're talking about this.
I'm gonna need a little time.
Yeah. Basically, what I'm talking about is like, you know, what's like your A2? You know, what's your?
Oh no.
Yo, Morph, if you're watching this, I love you, bro. Which is so funny, right? People still bring that up, even though like he's even like been like, yeah, that was like a little silly of me, whatever. Like, so funny how people like cling on to this stuff like so long afterwards. But the hot topic that I had on stream, we were talking about wipes, progression, and the long-term gameplay that Star Citizen's going to hold. And games in general, right, get kind of stale unless there's movement for it. And this is something that we've talked about, right? Which is that Mike has this might be kind of a hot topic that you have, is you actually really enjoy the subscription model for games. Because it forces developers to make interesting content constantly, right? Keep them coming back. Which I feel like is an interesting take. I haven't played a lot of subscription games, so I can't really chime in on that much. One subscription game I played, okay? Dual Universe.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
I really enjoyed like my month that I played it. It was like kind of like multiplayer satisfactory, which I know is already multiplayer, but not on that scale.
It wasn't at that time, really. It kind of was.
Right.
But there weren't servers for it at that time when it first dropped. But it just comes down to, like, if you're gonna go the subscription model for a game, that game has to be able to live for years. Could you have played Dual Universe for years?
No, I couldn't even
Yeah.
played it for months, to be
Yeah.
completely honest with you. And there's a reason why that game is dying, right?
100%.
If you guys didn't hear about Dual Universe, if you played it, I really enjoyed my time in it. Thought it was a great game. The thing that killed it for me, a couple of things. Have I told you this story before?
I think we talked about it a little bit on the podcast as well.
Oh, we may have. So yeah, I apologize. I won't tell it again. But the shortened version is that essentially I played it for a month, loved it. The combat ended up being really wacky. It's like tab target, people moving at max speed. And then like you have to like basically the stars have to align for you to kill someone or have combat with someone, which is a big part of the game for me. I like combat in video games. And so that wasn't great. But then one day someone deleted our ship. We thought it was a permissions error. We thought it was a permissions error. Turns out basically someone who is a moderator in the game, who's not an employee, just a random player that they've designated mod powers to like GM, decided he didn't like me. He didn't like my stream and he deleted our ship. So that ruined it for me. I was like, yep, I'm done. But then like later on, they did a couple of things. One of them was they took away mining. You can't mine in that game anymore, which is because it was too stressful on the servers, is what they said. And so now you have like these big machines that you place down on the surface and they mine for you.
Okay.
I don't know if you have to like go to a location and scan for it and then put it down, for like different resources and stuff.
If that's the case, I think that's all right.
It's okay, but it's not the same, right?
I think it's what we're going to have in Starfield, actually.
Oh, yeah, probably. But I mean, man, I enjoyed Colonoscopy Simulator, getting underground, like seeing the pings for stuff, like getting closer to it. That was really cool to me. I like the scanning in that game. I thought it was cool. But yeah, the game ended up just not being for me. But I think they ended up
or many people,
right? I think that game's on hospice, unfortunately. Which I love a good space multiplayer game, so it's unfortunate. But essentially, they ended up having a wipe, I think, and I don't think it's doing too hot. But the thing that I was saying in Star Citizen that was such a hot take was that I don't think wipes are that bad, because essentially they help with progression every once in a while and help sort against like people hoarding wealth and gameplay getting stale. You're doing the top end content instead of working towards something. And the really hot thing that I said, everyone's probably like, that's not that hot. The really hot thing that I said was that MMOs do it too all the time, like World of Warcraft, Destiny, stuff like that. And they do it just in a sneaky way, right? They'll make all your gear obsolete, and you're essentially starting from zero on the new DLC, on the new update. And essentially what's happening is they're tricking you into thinking it's not a wipe because they don't wipe your gold or whatever, but maybe they have a new currency. And they're like, you've got to obtain these mic coins to unlock the mic gear, but really it's just them wanting you to progress from zero again to do the new content, right? And so a lot of people were like, that's not actually a wipe. And I was like, yeah, I know. But essentially it was frowned upon. And a lot of people are like, well, we never need wipes in Star Citizen. And I think it's interesting.
Me?
Well, yeah.
Of course we do.
Well, you believe this? I thought you would be on the other side of this.
Right now we do. So
okay. Well, yeah. What about once we go live, though?
Well, what we go live? What does that look like?
1.0 hits. We got server meshing in the game.
Okay.
We got base building. We've got
And
all the things, you know, I'm lacking right
all
now.
the things.
Reputation,
You're
quanta.
lacking because they don't exist, right? So they're all a fiction of they're all in your imagination. They
Okay.
don't exist. So for me, it's very hard to apply those things to Star Citizen. But how I look at wipes right now is wipes outside, even in games like Daisy and Rust, feel like a result of poor forward thinking or lack of vision.
Really?
Or yeah, because yes, they help, but they help because players get to a point where the game stagnates.
Okay.
And
I guess that's fair.
the developers didn't put in the tools to prevent that stagnation from happening, right? To give enough carrots to chase for enough time. And people, I think, maybe that's sort of the hot takes that I have, is that I want gameplay that is unattainable for a lot of players. You need those carrots to chase. And for me, I think like a game like Tarkov or a game like Rust or a game like Daisy, but Tarkov I think is the best example when to tie it to games like Star Citizen that we play, is I don't think they intend to have wipes in the long term either. Maybe their vision for
They
the
say
game
they
has
don't.
changed. Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
they've also said
that's where
they want to
that's where they
do.
want to develop to.
Yeah, they said they want to do some servers that are optional wipe, where you can sign up
Mhm.
for them and you will get wipes, and then other servers where it's no wipe, is what they've said. That's what they want to
Okay.
do. That's the goal. So you'll have
And
two
then-
characters basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, interesting. But I look at it as a short-term solution for developers to not have to build a quality game. That's not saying that Daisy, Rust, and Tarkov are not quality games, but it does feel like when they set out on day one to make these games, that wipes were not part of the vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they weren't supposed to be, I don't think. And to make it clear, I'm not pro wipe in Star Citizen either, unless it's needed. However, I am pro gameplay that feels like wipe. And what I mean by that is adding in gameplay that it's like, if you don't do this new gameplay, then you're going to fall behind the rest of the player base. You can't jump in after 5 years and be right where everyone else is. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of gameplay I'm talking about when I say Star Citizen needs progression. That I was using the term wipe, but that's not really what I mean. But wiping has the same effect, right? Which is where if you don't play when the wipe happens and you jump in the game 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months after the wipe happened, well, you're going to be behind everyone else. And that was my point. That was the point I was trying to make the whole time, which is I want gameplay that keeps you on your toes, right? And even if it's every X so time, it doesn't have to be like every month, right? But like CIG could introduce new components or new crafting systems or new missions in like certain places that you go to and you get certain rep or like gear or whatever, a ship that is only attainable in game. Oh God, imagine a ship that you couldn't buy with real money, only get in game. That would be really cool, I think.
A miracle.
A miracle. A miracle. The only ship they have planned for that at the moment is the Bengal. And I guess if you want to consider like stealing the F8 Lightning.
Oh, and the Scythe, sort of.
The Scythes?
Sort of. Some people were able to buy them early on, but the only way to get the human flyable ones would be to steal them, apparently.
Isn't it in the referral program, or am I thinking of the glaive?
You're thinking of the blade or the glaive. The scythes are like worth more than a javelin on the market.
Oh, wow.
They're incredibly rare.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't realize.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe it's just because I haven't seen them. I get all those ships mixed up because like they need some love, you know, so I don't really fly them. Maybe the blade the most, but I know the glaive is really good right now. However, it's this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the kind of gameplay I'm talking about personally. And I've said this, which is not as hot of a take, is I think that you shouldn't be able to buy capital ships with real money. Now they've already done the damage, but imagine if capital ships were a goal to work towards with your org members, and that you had to, either buy them in game for a ridiculous amount of money, or you had to steal one, or you had to salvage one, like what they're planning with the derelict Bengal, 10 years from now, but you know what I mean. It's like, that would be so incredibly cool if it was like in-game content. And then now you've created in-game content for the orgs, and you're like, oh, this guy has a javelin, this guy has an Idris. Oh, they're rolling together in an org. That's so cool, whatever. And
I want that.
Yeah, I want that, because the truth of the matter is most capital ships that have been bought with real money are going to sit in hangars most of their life. They'll be pulled out a couple of times, maybe once or twice for people to look at them, but most will sit in hangars forever.
But if you were to compare this situation to like a DayZ Rust Tarkov scenario, is you would be getting to that ship in 2 months. And then once you've got to that point, that is the apex. And now I'm bored. So developers have realized that, and they go, okay, players are bored. Let's take those away, and we'll do a couple changes, add a few new guns, maybe a new trader in Tarkov, a new location here, maybe some new base building mechanics in DayZ or something like that, and go. Right? And it's like,
I guess like maybe that's what you want, and that's what I feel like a lot of games are missing. No. I know you don't. What I was gonna say is that figure out what you want the apex of your gameplay to be, and then build gameplay off that. Right?
Yeah.
It's like you get to the Idris, you get to the javelin, and then okay, now there's all these different tasks and stuff you can do only with that content. Right?
And allow it to be achievable. Like, you can lose it, you can win it back.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be the specific example that you gave, but it just be anything that is very difficult to achieve, takes lots of time, lots of effort, and people coming together, because MMO, right? And when you get there, it's something that you work to hold on to. But these, again, are part of my thing. I think hot takes that people don't want to play games like that anymore. So
what, like multiplayer games?
Okay, so back in the day, and even in games like Eve still today, people are forced to like work in shifts, and they, it's like a second job, and people don't want to do that anymore. I still do, right?
I kind of do as well. Yeah, absolutely.
But we're in this unique scenario where this is our job.
I know.
So the people in our chats are like, shut up, idiot. I have 14 kids, a wife, and 2 dogs or 6 dogs. I actually have a kennel, and I have to, it takes me 8 hours a day to just feed the dogs. So I don't have enough time to play games.
And I'm flying to Africa on the weekend to feed starving children.
Exactly. So they just don't have the time.
They don't.
And that's sort of where wipes in games, when they happen somewhat regularly, it's like, all right, man, like, this is how I feel with Tarkov.
Right.
Is, all right, man, I missed this wipe, and I felt like I was behind, and I felt like I sucked, but maybe I'll jump into the next one. So it not only, so the developers are, it almost feels like microtransactions.
Yeah.
Where developers are going, well, this is easier. I don't have to do as much. We get valuable feedback from how players play, how quickly they gain things, more, and they're like taking advantage of it, and almost abusing. They don't have to make.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I think what I would like to see is like, and I'm super pro casual player, by the way. I don't think that like, I think that there is room for both hardcore and casual players to live in the same universe.
Yeah, 100%. Casual players just have to accept that they can't get that thing that we explained, unless they work together with that group.
You can play the WoW quest, but you're not going to be able to do the raids week 1 if you don't have an org, or really at all, right? I think there's an LFG system now, I'm pretty sure in game. I don't
Never
know.
played WoW.
I don't know. Oh, you don't know? I've never. Well, I played it years ago, barely. Like literally, like 15 years ago, barely. I played it, but basically, it's like I don't think that people would complain about a game like Destiny or a game like WoW creating content that a solo player couldn't play, and I don't think that people should complain about that kind of content in Star Citizen. But people think that. People hear things like AI blades, and people think things like the NPC crews, and think that I'm gonna be able to do everything myself. And I don't think that that's the case either. I think CIG has to walk that line very carefully. Someone brought up a stat to me. They said that they looked over like how orgs are growing and shrinking and stuff, and apparently trading orgs are mega on the decline. Like they've been going down since, not like losing them, but they're like falling is like the number one org. Security is on the rise. And my thought process is the reason why trading orgs are low is because trading is not a multiplayer activity. People are doing it by themselves. Ask me the last time I ran into it. Go ahead.
Some people have done it, but again, you're just playing pretend.
It's so rare.
You can have like 5 of your own ships, you fill them all, and then 5 people are flying them, and you go back and sell and split the money or whatever. But it's just not, the game isn't where it needs to be. And wipes in Star Citizen have not happened for the reasons that wipes happen in Daisy, Rust, and Tarkov.
Right. Absolutely.
The common games with wipes. I'm sure there's others, but they happen in those games because content's gotten stale. We want to add some new stuff. Might as well add a wipe, get some excitement behind it. But when the wipe happened in 3.18, or was supposed to happen, or whatever happened with 3.18, has there ever been more hype about it around a Star Citizen patch?
Never. And this is something that I argue with my chat. Yeah, this is something that I argue with my chat, is they said that people aren't excited about the wipes, actually.
When they're frequent, no. But we did have we had a year, I think, maybe?
It was over a year, I think.
Yeah, so it was a long time where there may not have been a significant wipe. And now, it's kind of in the players' minds where we've gotten them. We got a wipe when they said we wouldn't. We didn't get a wipe when they said they would. And it's been this just...
That was tough.
Emotional roller coaster with them, and they're just absolute awful communication, which is like, you cannot
but Mike,
believe a word out of their mouths these days.
I had someone come into my chat today and say 3.18 was playable. You just had to be patient.
Okay. I don't know about you, but I think a 12-hour stream staring at the menu was just about patient enough. I don't know. I know you did the same thing, but yeah.
I didn't do the same thing. I got unbelievably
that's right. You got
lucky.
In.
I got unbelievably lucky.
You know how many times a day, guys, this fucking guy tells me how you won't believe how lucky I got.
Well, I mean, it's just
Mike, dude, I got so lucky today. I did this.
Here we go.
Oh my God. But like we said at the beginning, you make your own luck. You were there at the moment. You hit the button. You were like, all right, here it goes. Boom, boom. I was a few seconds off, and that was it. That's all it took.
He clicked the button, guys, 5 seconds after me. That's it. 5 seconds, and he couldn't get in. Nobody could get in. And people, so many angry people in my chat. Oh, dude, like streamer privilege. I can't believe CIG's letting streamers play, but not us, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, bro, I'm sorry. And the funniest part is once you were in, you were in. The queue had recognized you. So I could close out of the game, open it back up, no problem. And I actually had someone one time, they were like, I dare you to close your game right now. And I was like, gift 10 subs and I will. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I know it's going to work. And they gift the subs. I close out of the game. I open it back up and boom, I'm right back in. And I'm like, streamer privilege, baby, get wrecked.
And I tried to get on 5 different accounts and I did not get to play the game for a month.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't. And you ended up going on vacation, right?
Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
like, all
which is
right.
great.
I mean,
Great, man.
this is
You didn't
pointless.
miss anything. Yeah, you didn't miss anything. And
I did
then
the same thing last week.
318 one hit. It was decent. 318 two hit. That was when that semi wipe happens thing. And then I think people just started to give up. You know,
Yeah.
I don't blame them. I don't blame them for sure.
I mean, the other part of the topic was progression, right?
Yeah.
And people, you want to be able to feel like you're working towards something,
Yep.
and you want to feel like your progression has meaning. And I think if you are wiping all the time, that progression doesn't have meaning. Now,
Absolutely.
I don't play Rust. I watch a lot of Rust content. I know you have too. We've had a lot of
Yep.
conversations about that. They wipe the first Thursday of every month. A mandatory wipe
Some
from
yes.
no, this is from
I
the
know.
studio,
I
and
know.
then some servers just do it,
Every week.
fix random things. Yeah. So like Rust is a very fast progression, and it's meaningful, but only for
Well,
that
and
quick burst.
this is a good lesson for CIG. Rust is. And the reason why is
Okay.
because the end game for Rust is PvP and it's destroying other people's shit, right? It's basically a race to see who can get there first. And once you do get there, it's like you either got to be way better than the other people or you got to have better gear, right? Or get lucky, right?
You think that's a good thing?
No. What I'm saying
Okay.
is that is what CIG doesn't want to do, right? And again, I'm anti-wipe. I'm anti-wipe. I don't think they should be wiping frequently. I enjoy wipes when they happen because it feels like we have fresh content. They're adding content
Absolutely.
in. There's new stuff to do. That feels good to me at the moment. Long term, I'm anti-wipe.
What's the lesson then?
The lesson
in
is
this?
is that if they don't do what we're talking about, which is create the content that they feel like is the apex, and then after that, create content based on that.
Yeah,
then
that opens doors, right?
They're going to be stuck in the Tarkov, in the Rust style, in the DayZ style, which is where they're going to have to wipe, right? Because I think the last thing any of us want to see is us get a year, 2, 3, 4 years into a wipe, and all of a sudden everyone's like, okay, what do we do now? Like, I've done everything. I've ran a million bunkers. What do we do now? And the truth of the matter is in the current state of the game, if wipes didn't happen, some of this gameplay would be extremely boring. Man, people sending me, it's because of an exploit, but people send me 40 million AUEC on my alt account.
Stupid.
Right. And it's like, okay, well, now I have no motivation to play the video game anymore. Like, I get to do like the interesting content, but like then people will, for example, I help someone out with a bounty or like help someone clear their crime stat or something, and they'll send me money like 35,000 AUEC, and I'm like, okay, cool, thanks, man. It has no value. It doesn't mean anything, because CIG is I mean, the main issue is the exploit, right? And they fixed that, but it's like, if that's how it feels long term, is what I'm alluding to. When the game does live and there is no exploits, I've just played the game forever and I have tons of money, then that's not going to feel great, right? Yeah, it's not going to feel great.
Do you know what all the games that we've mentioned that have wipes? And I don't know, do you know if there's any others that come to your mind? Or
someone said Atlas, but okay. I haven't played Atlas.
I played it on day one and then never played it again because it was a rough launch, but that game seemed super cool. I guess Conan Exiles has wipes as well. I've played that
Arc
before
as well.
Arc. But I guess the problem with all of those games, in comparison to a game like an EVE Online, obviously an Ultima Online that I've played before, is you end up being games that have player run economies don't need wipes because of the player run economy. And in games that don't have player run economies, Tarkov, DayZ, Rust, Conan,
2 of the games you just mentioned have player run economies.
Not really.
I would say that Tarkov is player run.
But your traders have these things, and you never have to interact with another player if you don't want to. You don't. You can go in game, you can sell everything to a trader, you could buy everything from a trader.
You're right.
Yes,
You don't have to interact with
you
them,
can go
but
onto the flea,
yeah,
but
the flea's very helpful. As far as I know,
of
people,
course,
it's a big deal.
but it's not completely
it's not player
player
only.
run.
You're correct. Now Rust is, I would say. Well, actually, that's not true. They have traders now. But yeah,
Yeah,
for
but
the longest time, Rust was player run. But I get what
it
you're saying.
is it is, but don't you go 'cause again, I've only watched a little bit of Rust content. I just think it's awesome to watch, but I don't actually know what's going on. So there's like hero locations there, right? That are called like landmarks or something like that. And you'll go there and you'll get a bunch of scrap, or you'll go there and you'll get a a blueprint of some kind that you might want, right? But there's no there's no way for you to build a space station that makes there's no way that you build a base that makes material that people need. I know there is in Rust,
I
like
get
you
what
can
you're
make
saying.
keys and all these things, but there isn't this situation where you can be in control of I'm explaining it very weirdly, but in games where they're mostly player run
Well,
economies,
how about
for
this? Tell
whatever
me a
reason
game
they
that
don't
you're
need
talking
wipes.
about. Give me an example of the
Eve,
game you're talking about. Okay, Eve.
Eve and Albion Online
Hmm.
is another one. So in those games, you as a player don't own the city, but you can own uh like a crafting station in the city that everybody needs to use, and you make money off of that. But
Hmm.
then you also own these outside locations that are make the that only have the highest tier items within your border. So you get the highest tier crafting materials at your base, and you can farm them once every 24 hours. And like it's a huge fight to get those. But the thing about Albion Online is they do wipe, because
Hmm.
the highest, like the most powerful guilds would have control over those locations forever, and nobody would be able to make headway into it. So they reset, and then everybody fights for everything again.
Hmm.
So even they wipe. So it's gotten to a point where can games even survive without them? I don't know.
I
I
think
look back and I'm like, Eve is the only one that survives forever. And
yeah,
has had some success, but you would argue that it's still a fairly niche game, right?
I would say super niche is what Eve is.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
someone like myself who really enjoys space games, I wouldn't find myself playing it. And the main reason is it plays like an RTS, and I don't really play RTS games.
Yeah.
That's the main reason. I'm more of a shooter style. I'd rather play DayZ than Eve. And I've actually never played
Sure.
DayZ. Um,
You should.
Everyone tells me to. Maybe I should. But it's a game I want to check out.
It's a mini wipe. It's essentially a mini wipe every time you play.
Right, every time you die.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can like log out and keep your stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%. Like Daisy content creators that I watch, they'll be like, I've had this character for this many days. And it's a thing like you build up to like I haven't
I
had
get it.
a death,
Well, I've seen Minecraft people do the same thing, actually. They'll be like, I've been playing on this hardcore world for 3 years. And then by that time, they're like doing all the risky stuff. Like, you're like, oh my God, I would never do this. But they're like,
Yep.
and then they die, and it's this huge deal. There's this guy who said he ended up dying because he got stuck in a 1x1 block in the whatever it's called, the bottom
Lava or
stuff.
something?
No, the bottom
Yeah.
stuff, whatever it's called. For whatever reason I can't remember what it's called, but it's like this stuff you can't mine any lower, but it like is feathered out, so there might be a block up here and then one adjacent, and there's spaces in between them and stuff, and he got stuck
he just
on
couldn't
accident in a 1x1 block, and he was prone, he couldn't stand up, and that was it. And it's unfortunate because there's a way out of that, but you have to have this fruit that you can only get in the nether. I forget what it's called, but people don't typically use it, and he just didn't have any on him. So he lost like years of progression because of that.
That's cool.
So
That's awesome
crazy.
though. At the same time, it's a story, right? We were talking about the esports villain and things like that. Like, what a story.
Well, and it had meaning because of that.
Yeah.
Right. And I
Yeah.
think that's what we're looking for is Star Citizen. And it's like some of this stuff feels like slam dunks. Put a gun in the game, call it the Desync repeater. It does 25% more damage than any other weapon in the game. That's not even that much, I don't think. 25% or maybe 10%, whatever's going to make people happy, whatever they feel like's balanced. Make it where you can only get it from UE ships, but you have to destroy them. You got to steal them. You got to be sneaky about it, something like that. Or maybe this outpost makes them or something. You can find them every once in a while. Or you can craft them.
You know what I really want? You know what I really, really want?
What?
You know the armor that at the SPK guard? You know how he's like super bullet spongy?
Mm.
What if you put that armor on and you were as spongy as he is?
That would be cool, and maybe it had degradation like Tarkov armor.
It would have to, yeah.
Yeah. That would be really cool. A lot of people would be against that. I wouldn't. But it would have to be way more rare.
Yes, it would have to be. He wouldn't, couldn't spawn with it that often, or it was like a much more of a challenge to get them to spawn. I mean, listen, if we had good AI in the game, they would spawn less often because it would be a challenge there, right? But we don't. So there's that. But I think that you're kind of onto something there is,
and it's uninsurable. You can lose it and it's gone forever. Yeah. Someone can take it off your body, but once it's gone forever. Give us some value. And I've said this before too with other stuff, rare medical items. I would even be okay with a here's what someone said. Okay, we talked about this the other day. You ready for this? A self-res. One-time use, but it goes on your chest, boom. You have to get to a medical hospital to get it removed. And every X amount of minutes, it inputs a certain amount of drugs into you until you just overdose and die. So if you don't make it to the hospital, you're dead. One time, so you got to be careful about using it, because if you use it and you can't get to a hospital, you might be SOL, right?
I mean, the one thing that you touched on about wipes and progression as well, that, we struggle with in our game, and I think is like the key factor is crafting, right? And it's not something that you necessarily like to participate in, but I was talking about this with a mutual friend of ours about like your style of gameplay is able to exist right now, where mine doesn't in the game we like to play, but it's like on the cusp and feels like it's like getting there and could be pretty exciting. And the thing for me is, if they do crafting really well and it's a challenge and a slow burn and something that is, competitive, you can compete over it, and there's that progression within it. That's where those wipes become less needed, right?
Yep, absolutely.
The same can be said for the similar thing with the armor that we were just talking about, is like these really difficult things to find that will disappear in time, and that things that people want to work towards and have. But the thing about that is, eventually somebody will have it all. And
absolutely,
the games that require wipes the most in the negative way are the games that players have it all too quickly.
Yeah, and once they have it all, that's it, right?
Yeah, and once they have it all, it's almost a snowball effect where they continue to have it all, and anybody who's trying to make any headway quits. So like the example that you gave of, all right, once we get the big ship and then we fight over it, and if I take it from you, guess what happens to the people who you take it from? They quit. Like that's what happens in games like DayZ and games like Rust, I feel like, is once their base is done, they don't want to go through the process again. But if a wipe happens, they're like, all right, we're all on the same playing field. Let's go. I'm excited.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
I wonder what the listeners are feeling like right now. I feel like we've
Hmm.
been a little bit all over the place, but I think it's because
We're
we're
just talking
we're
about progression in general,
well,
you
I think
know?
it's because we're figuring out our thought process on, like, do we
Yeah.
like it? Is it good? Is it not? I know that's maybe I don't want to say for us. I should say for me is I've been all over the place on it because I'm not sure if it's good or if it's not. But you don't want players to quit, right?
I don't want players to quit. That's for sure. But
And if you have that big thing that everybody is going after, that's not gonna work.
so you think that if there's a Bengal in game and you lose it, you think those people are done forever?
Yep.
I don't think so. Maybe I'm
Think about how
wrong.
devastating it is. So there's
Absolutely.
there's
But I would want to
the
go get it back.
you would, but there's the
True.
need. There's the need. You're one of the most persistent people I've seen, right? Like most people going through the experiences you have in the game we play, they would quit, right? And most people have,
Fair enough.
right? So you're a little bit of a different animal when it comes to those things. But the average player, I think, quits, and I think the game studios know that, and that's why they're like, all right. And this is the crazy thing about Star Citizen. Why wouldn't you want to be on a level playing field on day one? Why is everybody like totally fine with not being on a level playing field? That's literally why these games wipe and why the excitement is around it. It's like, all right, man, everybody around me is exactly they're in the exact same position as me. This is so cool. And then we go. So like wipes are so cool and so good, but then there's also I think it's also like a failure if you have to do them at the same time.
Right, right. Yeah. And so
How do you keep players
yeah, it's tough.
on the treadmill, I guess?
Yeah. I don't know, man. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know.
It's really hard, and that's why I think wipes have become more
Yeah,
popular.
it's tough. That's
It's
why.
just easier. It's just
Yeah.
easier.
But I mean, so it's interesting, right? Because you could take that in because obviously the capital ship thing isn't going to happen in Star Citizen, right?
Yeah.
Because people already own them. I have one
Sure.
through referrals. I didn't mean to get it, but I did.
Yep.
And so whether I like it or not, day one of the final wipe of Star Citizen, if that day does come, I have a capital ship, which is a huge advantage over most people, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people do have capital ships, not those people. Concierge, rise up. But no, I'm just kidding. But I think that it's interesting to think about how do you keep those because you could replace it with like a space station, right? Oh, you have these capturable
That's what
space
I want.
stations. And I would
That's what
love
I
that.
want.
You mine stuff. Oh, you mine titanium and you use that to, or you go salvage RMC and you turn it into your station. And now that's used as your material to repair ships. And you mine quantanium. That's used for your material to fuel up your ships and hydrogen, whatever. Like eventually that will come in, hopefully. So that's like long-term progression for orgs, but then like also making it interesting after that. And there are some things they could do that I've thought of, but man, the whole your argument really throws a wrench in that because
Yeah.
how do you stop people from quitting the game after such a massive loss? And I think there's not an answer to that I can think
No.
of. It's
And that's the thing where maybe my like when you were gonna ask me what my hot take is I'm always looking for that insane grind to get to. I want the heartbeat. Your heart beating out of your chest in this situation. I don't want to die here, right?
I love that
And
stuff too. Yeah.
yeah, I'm all about that. But then when you lose, you know your heart's beating because when you lose, it sucks. And that feeling is hard to get past, and imagine that feeling when it's not a week of progression, but it's years of progression or months of progression, right?
With
And, like
lots of people.
yeah. So it's that one's tough for our game specifically, but I still think there's gotta be there's gotta be a way, but I don't think like, dude, do you think they said they wouldn't do it, but Star Citizen has gone back on their word with basically a lot of things.
Hmm.
Do you think we would still see wipes post launch?
Again, I'm not
Or
pro wipe. I'm not pro wipe. But do you think, like, are you saying? Because here's the deal. I personally think.
do you think
that
they would have to? Is what I'm asking.
maybe, because here's the deal: is I think a lot of the wipes they've done have been under the guise of we need to do this for like a technical update or something. And
I don't think it's under the guise. It's because things got fucked.
no, not all of them. Some of them have been technical, but I think sometimes they've just been like, oh yeah, we need a wipe, but it's not really. They didn't need to. They just want to reset everyone back to zero for the purposes of, like, for example, they made it a lot easier to go to prison this update. Why? Because they add a lot of content to prison. They wanted people to test that out. So sometimes CIG pushes people sneakily in those directions, and sometimes I feel like that has been the source of the wipe, or at least a major reason for them. Like a lot of this is very conspiracy theory, so take this with a grain of salt. Do you remember audio visual equipment?
Yeah.
A lot of people believe that they purposely added that to the game so that they could have a reason to wipe. And they were like, oh, there's trillions of AUEC in the game. Like, we got to wipe, guys. But it seems
Are we getting
like
a wipe in the next patch?
it seems like we're supposed to be.
You sure?
We're supposed to be. That's what they said.
All
They said if we fix the exploit, then we'll wipe. That's what they said.
Okay. I hope we get one.
I may be wrong about this, but someone told me that CIG said on Spectrum, if they fix the exploit, we get one. But this is different.
Do you want one or no?
This is different. Right now, yeah, I do. Absolutely. Because people are sending me tens of
back in.
Yeah, people are sending me tens of millions of AUEC. And here's the best part. If they wipe, we're back to where we were, hopefully, in 3.19, where it was supposed to be. And it wasn't that because of the technical issues, right? They're wiping. They're not wiping. They're wiping. They're not wiping. Oh, we didn't wipe, guys. Partial wipe. Some people got wiped, but not everyone. I think everyone would have just loved to start from zero. Everyone would have just loved to start from zero. That's what it should have been.
Hot take. I don't want to see another wipe in Star Citizen until they have somebody working on the economy. What is the point?
I don't disagree.
What is the point of doing anything until there is like proper gold sinks, proper
don't disagree.
Just like these. So like, again, this isn't a Star Citizen podcast, but we can tie our conversations to that game quite easily, and a lot of our audience understands it. But this can be the same scenario can be applied to all the other games that we talked about, where their economies of whether it's base building, crafting, armor, weapons, whatever those games are built on, they reach max capacity too quickly. And yes, some players are just power gamers and power levelers, and they're going to go nuts, right? And what other games do instead of wiping is sort of what you talked about, is you just raise the level cap and then make that experience even harder to get, or change the do some balancing to armor, add a new set of armor that people are trying to chase after. Those are things you can do, but people don't like that either, right? Like, because then that negates everything that they've done before, and it's kind of like, back on the hamster wheel. It's not really fun either. But I think that's the experience we're having in our game is money doesn't mean anything, and that's the only thing that you're really earning in the game, because unfortunately there's no crafting, there's no items, there's no things to gain power in the game currently. And that's why I think we can use wipes more than anything. But that's why I don't want to see them. I don't want to see wipes until there is something to progress to. What's the point? You might as well just leave us with billions of credit. Who cares? I
totally agree. The only point of me wanting a wipe right now is just to get everyone back on the same playing field, because it felt this wipe is not because I want to be back at zero. It's because a wipe is what the community deserved back in 3.19, and we didn't get it, right?
Yeah.
Like or back in 3.18 too, right? That's when it was supposed to be. That's what we needed. We needed a full wipe. That's what everyone wanted. and it didn't happen. And then they wasted a whole lot of people's times, and the people who they didn't waste time were the people exploiting.
Yep.
It was the 8th SCU exploit. People are exploiting, and guess what? Those people did not get wiped. They didn't get wiped, and CIG said they were going to. I messaged someone from CIG. They said they were going to wipe those people, and guess what? They didn't. And so the only people's time that they respected were the people exploiting. And so, yeah, I would like to see everyone back on the same playing field. I'd like to see the exploits get fixed. But the thing is, like you said, exploits are not going to get fixed. Now,
They'll just be new ones.
yeah, and so another hot take from me here is, we're just sharing all the hot takes. I don't know if you have one yet, but I've got one. Is I personally think that CIG needs to be banning and warning, and even not permanently banning, just like slaps on the wrist for people, 1 day, 3 day, whatever bans, for people who are using exploits in game today, not 5 years from now, today, and people who are RMCing and stuff like that. And the reason why,
That's a hot take.
yeah, we talked about this, but here's the reason why, is because Tarkov didn't get ahead of it. And instead, they waited, and cheaters grew, exploiters grew, RMTers grew. And by the time they really did anything serious about it, they now have a massive community of cheaters, exploiters, and RMTers a part of their game. And if CIG doesn't show people that they're serious, because it's in the TOS that exploiting is against, the CIG says we can take actions against your account if you exploit or dupe or whatever. They just don't. And so if they showed people that we're serious about this, it's going to set them up for success in the future, so people don't do things like cheating. And I had someone today saying that players should be able to do whatever they want, and it's up to the devs to fix it. Like, people shouldn't get banned for exploiting. It's up to the devs to fix it. And I completely disagree, because where do you draw the line between that? Like, you could use that same argument for cheating, right? Hey, it's up to the devs to stop us from cheating. Like, if we're able to do it, then what's the issue, right? Like, it all of a sudden becomes very blurry when you don't draw the line at a certain point. And so, like, personally, the people who are RMTing on eBay right now, selling AUEC for tens of thousands of real dollars, right? These people have made, like, you can see what their transaction history is. And
why
it's
haven't we done that?
Dude, like, the thing is, though, is how are those people getting that money to sell to people? They're cheating.
They're exploiting. There's only one
exploiting.
way. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're cheating and they're exploiting, right? Or duping money somehow. They figured it out. And so they have billions of AUEC, trillions of AUEC. And so what CIG should be doing is going to eBay, buying one of these packages, looking at the logs of who sent it, and then ban that account, right? And
Yep.
And then they rinse and repeat, right? Cost them a few bucks to do it, but it's worth it to get those RMTers out of the game. They're going to have to pay $45 every time. It's going to start costing them money. Maybe not enough, but you can maybe get to the source. I don't know. CIG probably has more information that I'm not thinking of, like IPs and stuff, where they could maybe like do sneaky stuff with that. Personally, I just think that, yes, it's not up to the players to police the game, but I think it's totally fine for CIG even now to be like, hey guys, if you use these exploits against other players and you're using them to negatively affect the game in an unintentional way, then yeah, we're going to take action against your account. I don't think that's bad.
In the live servers on PTU, I think.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah. In PTU or Evocati, absolutely not. In live servers is what I'm talking about.
Of course, yeah. Just wanted to put that out there in case a commenter started clapping their keyboard and was like, "You're testing." Well, you know what? I think personally, I don't know how you feel about this. Is when, you know, Star Citizen is what it is, but when a live server is out, it's not nearly as much of a test. And the test is and should be the economy, the progression, the way players are, you know, feedback from the way we play based off of the fact that it's live. That's where the live server should be. It shouldn't be a bug finding quest, right? Like, by that point, CIG knows what all the bugs are, and they have given up on fixing them until the next patch. So there is almost no point in sharing your your feedback or anything at that point. They already know it all. They knew these exploits were happening before they even went live, and they just didn't give a shit and did it anyway. So there's or they did, but they don't care enough to do anything about it. But that's a whole nother, can of
Or
worms,
they didn't
or
have the
whatever.
time. There's all sorts of stuff,
Bro, you
and
got the time, you just don't put the patch live. But they didn't. I don't know if they found it. They hot fixed to fix the one of them, right? But there's others.
another one, and yeah, and there will continue to be them even into live whenever that happens, right? Like I'm talking
100%.
about 1.0, right?
Yeah, because I'm
And
sure
so,
people know and are not sharing. That's a whole nother
right.
thing.
So why are we not drawing the line somewhere is what I think,
Yeah.
right? That's a really hot
I'm
take,
with you.
but yeah, it's a really hot take, but I personally think that setting CIG up for success now is the answer. And I think there's a big difference, right? I'm not saying, oh, you tested an exploit, you tested a bug, ban that fool. That's all I'm saying. There's a big difference between testing a duplication exploit and doing it thousands of
Endlessly.
times
Yeah.
so that you can make trillions of AUEC. Big difference there. And if you can't see that, listen, I can't help you. If you can't see the difference between those two things, there's huge difference between those.
100%. I think, and they kind of go hand in hand in with the wipe conversation, right? Is if players are taking the progression that is intended to be in the game and just doing it at hyper speed because of something, it almost forces wipes and like things that shouldn't be happening. You know what I heard too is there's always like these tinfoil hat people that think wipes happen for reasons outside of for Tarkov or for other games, not just Star Citizen. Like they're wiping so people buy more ships. They're not wiping so people buy more ships, in my opinion, but that's certainly a result of what happens when they do, because players are tired of losing their progression. So now they're just buying the progression. And that's not a good thing either, right? Is so it's
That's
wipes
not
there.
that's
There's
not an insane take, I will say. That's not an insane take because CIG does do that stuff, right?
yeah.
They absolutely
Yeah.
have done it. Like, for example, man, how convenient that the ship that was the loner for the galaxy was the Carrack. How convenient. Oh, it's the big brother to the Constellation. Why wasn't the Constellation the loner? Because that's not as shiny, And do you think they would have had record-breaking sales on that if the loner would have been? Every time I bring up the Galaxy, people are like, "Well, I just got it because I get a free, Carrack for a couple years." Like, okay, you're like, yeah, it's hard to argue with that because they're kind of right. It's a cheaper version of the Carrack. And so CIG absolutely does do that. And the whole marketing behind that was, oh my God. I know you feel the same way, but the whole marketing behind that was insane. Criminal, if you ask me. But
Yes.
and CIG is doing more and more in the stuff, but not just CIG, other games do that as well, right? And so our fingers aren't really only pointing at them. Other devs, and I get it, they're a business, they're trying to grow. Like CIG, they got 1,000 employees now, right? So they gotta make money somehow, and they're building an office, right? And that's got to cost a lot of money, and so it's like I understand the need for money and need for more cash flow to be coming in, but I think that is that a good reason for a wipe? No, absolutely not. Is that a reason why they're withholding ships from being purchasable in game and they are doing wipes? Sure, I bet it's a positive for them. I bet they think about it at least. But yeah, no, totally. Like for example, a wipe in Tarkov. Nobody's gonna buy more because of that, right? Maybe EOD.
Yeah,
they might upgrade to EOD.
I was gonna say, yeah, like does even having more stash space matter in that?
Yeah, I would say so. Right?
Okay.
You max out stash space. That's a nice feeling. You go back to regular stash space. You might be, oh yeah, I played so much last wipe. Might as well buy it. Stash space is a huge deal. It's a huge deal. You got to be like God tier stash management if you have that small stash.
Really? That's what I have.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You can upgrade your stash though throughout the progress of the game,
That's what I'm
right?
saying. So you
Okay.
get max stash, same as everyone else, same as EOD, and then the wipe happens, you're back to 0. You might be like, maybe I should upgrade. All of a sudden
Yeah.
they got another $60 from you. So it is a good point, right? I guess you wouldn't do that in Rust or DayZ, right?
Because that's part of the gameplay. It's weird. Like some games, the wipe has become the gameplay. Tarkov
Right.
is like loosely that, but Rust and DayZ, like
Tarkov
especially
wasn't
Rust.
supposed to be that. Like some people are
Yeah.
very anti-wipe, and people are very anti-wipe in Star Citizen too. Personally, I love wipes because it's just fun. It's fun for me to start from the beginning. You know, in a game that doesn't have a lot of progression, it's fun to progress a little bit.
Who doesn't like day one of an MMO? Who doesn't love it? It is the greatest experience of all time. The MMO can be absolute trash. Hello, New World. It was incredible. Like it was the best month
I
of my
love the
life.
first month.
The first month.
First month was incredible for me,
Yes.
but they weren't going to keep me longer than that anyways. But you know what got me out of New World?
What?
It was the
exploits?
desync, dude. No.
Oh yeah, all the
desync.
bugs. I mean, it was everything.
Well, literally wars were won and lost because people would gather up on a point and the game didn't know what to do. Are these people alive? Are these people dead? Are they taking damage? Are they not taking damage? We would literally plan strategically. I was working with a group. I wasn't in their group. I was working with a group called Sweat and Tears. And they were like, okay, we're gonna get every AoE spellcaster in a circle, and we're gonna all cast on this point so that they can't like overtake it and blah blah blah. Or if they start overtaking one with desync, we're gonna start AoE casting it so that couldn't happen, right? And I forgot we actually put it on the same server, but it was
remember that.
It was ridiculous, dude. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, we were not in this. We were not in Sweat and Tears, and those guys were winning everything, and they were exploiting everything. It was terrible. It ruined the server. You want to know a funny story?
Okay, tell me.
I did a Twitch Rivals tournament for New World, and I
didn't know this.
Yeah, so I was in a Twitch Rivals tournament for New World. It was, God, as a content creator, how many of you out there as a Twitch streamer wanted to be a part of Twitch Rivals, right? One of the coolest things ever. I thought I was part of Twitch Rivals, man. And turns out it was like 2 people, like 3 people that were like the captains of the team or whatever. Those were the Twitch Rivals. We were it was a State Farm sponsored thing. So we were their good neighbors. None of us were mentioned as streamers. We were just other players. Meanwhile, that we were all partner streamers, all part of Twitch. It was the most demoralizing experience I've ever had as a content creator in my entire life. Okay? Because I was telling my stream, like, I'm in a Twitch Rivals tournament. This is so cool. I feel like I made it, dude. And then the moment the tournament starts and you realize what's happening, you're looking around you and you're like, wow, I am a piece of shit. I am the worst thing ever. It was so terrible, dude. But anyway, like going along with your story, they banned, like my build was Ice Gauntlet Fire Staff.
Okay.
They banned it because they didn't want the game to look bad. Because that's how all the desync happens. So you can go Ice Gauntlet, but you couldn't use. They checked your skills. You couldn't use I forgot the name of it, like Ice Storm or whatever. The AoE spell for Frost Staff.
Is that what was causing it?
Yeah, that was one of them.
I'll tell you what, dude. Sweat and Tears did not know that. We did not know that. They were not doing that on purpose. Yeah.
You were yellow?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
Yellow
was the clowns.
They did not know that the Ice Gauntlet was causing that. I'm just saying.
That was one of the things that helped, I think. But because
we lost wars because of that. We lost wars. We didn't know it was that, but
bro, there was exploits on top of exploits in that game. Sure. So if they didn't know that one, it didn't matter, right? Somebody else was using it. But Yeah, I mean, that killed it for that game, but, I mean, talk about like, if you were invited to a Twitch like, you got the email, you're invited to a Twitch
Dude, I
Rivals
would have been
tournament,
pumped
how
too.
you would have messaged me right away like, "Dude, did you get it? Oh my god, we're so excited,"
Bro.
right? And then, man,
I didn't
I
even know
felt like
this, but I guess I
I
know
felt like a
now.
nobody.
I know now
Try
why I don't know.
Do you delete your emails?
No.
I bet it's in there, dude.
Let me check. Let me check.
Yeah, I bet it's in there. But while you're checking, it's one of those things where if you are a content creator and you're listening to this, don't let yourself get down in these situations or whatever, right? Like we talked about me having um imposter syndrome, right? And like that was one of those moments where it really hit. It really hit. Like my chat called me a good neighbor for a good few months after that, just making fun of me and shit. And it was funny, obviously, after the fact, but in the moment, it was, it was a, it was a bummer, man. Yeah, just like type in New World Twitch Rivals and see if you got it. There's no way you didn't.
I didn't,
Did you
dude.
stream it a lot or did you play it a lot?
I streamed the shit out of New
Are
World.
you a New World creator?
I signed up for it, but I didn't get like I don't think I got the official thing.
Oh, okay. I am. So maybe it was like if you're Twitch partner and New World creator, then you were
Yeah, I
in.
wasn't an official like creator or anything like that.
I'm still a New World creator. I don't know why, but yeah.
That was
The
2021, right? That New World came out. I'm looking.
yeah, I
I
think
have
so.
I have one email about Twitch Rivals from 2021. It says watch XQC and friends compete a massive prize in Las Vegas. That's it. That's
No,
all I got.
no.
I didn't get the
Okay,
email,
weird.
dude.
Yeah, but dude, that was one of those moments like, wow, I'm never going to make it. Twitch is never because I think a lot of people in the going back to like right before you started Berks, like Twitch noticing you meant so much, right? And it doesn't mean a lot now. Like you just have like all these ambassadors and things
Nope.
out there now, and you're like, who are these people, right? Some of them are really cool. Like one of them actually comes by the stream and everything. So I'm not really trying to put it down. Like there's value to being a Twitch ambassador and all that stuff in terms of like being setting a good example and all that. But the
Dude.
back in the day, like, Pluto noticing you or something like that was like, oh my God, and oh
No, I
they
remember.
like, but
Or
now it's
trying to get into the same game as like Shroud or Doctor Disrespect in a PUBG match or something. Like that was
yeah.
insane. I don't know if you played any PUBG whenever it was
Oh yeah.
big. Yeah?
Oh
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude,
I
I
was
loved that game.
me and my friend Sharp, we called ourselves the Pachinki Boys because we would only drop in Pachinki.
Pachinki is my city. Dude,
Yes.
100%. Yeah. We
And we
were
would lose every fucking match
hell
because
yeah, dude.
it was just madness, obviously. But if you survived the madness, it
I
was so
loved hot
fun.
dropping. Like I don't know about you, I'm a hot dropper.
Same.
If I'm doing something like that, I'm going to the most populated spot, and if I die right away, I'm fine with that. I'd rather die right away than land somewhere, loot for 20 minutes, and then get sniped in the head.
When was the last time you played a battle royale?
Does Fall Guys count?
No.
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Man, it's been a while. Apex maybe, like off stream, a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's been a while though, a couple months. And
Why
I'm
don't
talking about a
like
couple of games.
they're so fun. Why don't we play more battle royales?
What do you
Is
mean?
does it like I don't
Do
play
you just
I
mean
don't
like
play them anymore. Like
in
in general, like I
general,
don't play them
or
anymore
why
either,
they're
but
not
I've
as
had so much
popular?
fun. No, they're popular still.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you like asking why you don't play battle royales? Listen,
Yeah,
bro,
it was
I'm fighting for my life every day playing Star Citizen, bro. Battle royale,
What if
dude, is how long I can stream this game before I lose my sanity.
what if we had one in Star Citizen?
A battle royale? We
How,
talked about this. We talked about this
they
with the level.
gotta.
That'd be
Yeah, they
great.
gotta do it.
I
They
would
gotta
love
do
that,
it.
dude. They
Yeah.
should do it. Like but not arena commander mode. Which they are doing one, right? They're doing tank royale.
Yeah, but it's just called Tank Royale. It's not a fucking battle
Oh,
royale.
I don't know. I haven't played
No.
it. Unlike some people who may or may not be in the call.
Because they can't get 100 players in a server.
Sure. But did you need 100 players to be a battle royale?
Yeah, I think so. Because you need the early game that you need a relatively big map so you can keep making things smaller, and then you need the early game where people are seeing each other, and then you need the late game, enough time to get to the late game and have it be a pretty based fight with like good gear and all that shit. So I don't know, but it was more of a rhetorical question for myself. I had so much fun in them, but why did I stop playing them?
I think because for
Right.
me, because they get repetitive.
Yeah.
That's why. It's the same. And don't get me wrong, they're fun to jump in every once in a while, but for me, it's like, where's the diversity in content? It's you loot stuff, you kill people. Don't get me wrong, I love a good FPS, but I think that's where Tarkov really scratched my itch there, because it's not battle royale, but kind of is. But it's like, you get kind of both, and then you extract. I like that was kind of the same itch for me. Sniping in that game is really fun. So
I think PUBG is what made Tarkov so successful. Is it fed
essentially,
off of the battle royale feel, but gave it a more of like a video game, like more of a progression feeling, right? Like you were in you loot a battle royale is a 20-minute progression game that wipes at the end of 20 minutes. Right? Like if
yeah.
to get back to like like bring it full circle to like the wipe topic we had is that gets old real quick, right?
Right. And it's like, it's fun to win. It's fun to win with your friends. It's fun to have good fights and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, it just gets old. And for me, one of the reasons I stopped playing like Apex, for example, is because like, man, the way people move in that game now just feels
Bro,
like,
I'm too old for that shit.
well, it's like, it's not even that I don't think that I could. It's just I don't like it. I don't like that to be the best player. You have to know how to like crouch spam in the perfect direction and make it where you're impossible to hit because your hitbox is moving like left or you're pip-wiggling basically,
Yeah.
And that bothered me. It stopped being about who was the better aim and who's the better positioner and who could just like get in your face and wiggle, and that bothered me. And like, because I still feel like I have really good aim. And just because I played FPSs my whole time, and now I'm rustier than ever. But I felt like if I sat down, I could really get there. And I feel like for me, it's like the game stopped being about strategy, and that's the thing I appreciated about PUBG is that it was a lot of strategy. It was a lot of like you could be sneaky or whatever. You can't do that in Apex because they got scanning heroes and they got traps and all that. And I know they've added a lot to PUBG, but for me, it became more than just about who was the best. It became who could like cheese it the most at the high level. I'm not saying that every match is like that, but you're asking me why I stopped playing, and that's why.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Apex specifically, I think there's some, and I know that's like one of the most popular battle royales, but Apex specifically for me. Now all the movement stuff is fine for me, like Pathfinder swinging around and people, shooting them, but yeah, just like that stuff was like not that great for me. Personally, anytime I died and I just got like mega owned, it was always by someone like that who was doing that stuff, and I was just like, no thanks. It's like EM missile spamming to me. I said on stream today, a lot of people got mad at me. I said on stream today, I said, if you open a fight in Star Citizen with a fighter with 4 EM missiles, you have a little dick, is what I said.
Based.
And some people were like, well, a win is a win. And I'm like, yeah, a win is a win in a game that's balanced and works, not when your decoys don't spawn,
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro.
Like we're talking like that is an exploit.
And it basically is, but it's like it rides the line so people don't feel. You know who loves EM missiles? People who suck at fucking combat. That's who loves EM missiles. Yeah. And so if you love EM missiles, you got to ask yourself, why do I love them? Is it because the people who you couldn't beat anymore, now you have a chance to beat them? Is it leveling the playing field a bit for you? Are you going to have to learn how to use your guns and aim once they fix it? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to say that because I'm not nearly the best pilot. I get beat all the time. Right. But at least I don't rely on the cheesy tactics, you know. And I
Yep.
feel like too many do. And if that is what it costs me to be the best, is not relying on the cheesy tactics, then I don't want to be the best. And that's the end of the story.
Yeah. And I think with every video game, it's always going to be the cheese to get to the top.
At the top,
There's always a
yep.
level of cheese. And that sucks, but yeah.
Yep.
I don't know,
yep.
man. I want to play a game that I can play for 10 years in a row. And it never wipe, and it to feel like I still have something to work towards. And I don't know if developers are willing to make games like that anymore.
I don't know
And
either, man. I don't know
Yeah.
either. I can only think of two, and neither of them are in the greatest spot. Eve and World of Warcraft. Those are the only two games that I can think of that have done that.
And they do it a little differently, and neither of them, you can argue neither of them work that well.
Some people will say yes, some people will say no. I know there's been a lot of drama over the last like 2 years with Eve, because like they changed developers, right? Or someone took over or something, and they did like the what was it called?
Free to play, and
they did free to play, but they also did, what's the other thing? It was scarcity. And basically it was like they were trying to make people burn their money or something. Which, man, I didn't hate that idea. I think Star Citizen could learn from something like that in the future, where like an event happens where like the price of things go way up, or maybe you go to a new system, but it costs a lot of money to function there. And there's like maybe this, event where you have to like go get like a certain amount of resources from, but the only way to function in that system is you paying this high cost. And this is what I'm talking about when I say content that progresses you but isn't wipes, right? Is creating gameplay that forces you to sink your money, but the reward can be high. Absolutely.
Yeah. But the reward shouldn't necessarily be more money. It should be more gameplay.
More gameplay, yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it takes money to do that, to encourage people. But yes. I don't know.
Well, look at the pace in which developers are developing these days. Games are super complicated, and they aren't moving at the pace in which players are. Developers cannot develop fast enough, as fast as the players are playing their games. And it's not just the power gamers. It's as fast as even their average gamers are playing their game. Right? The people who make it, like, every game gets the first couple weeks, huge influx or whatever on a launch, maybe a new wipe, but the first week or so, that'll tail off quite significantly. All right, now here's your core player base. That core player base works through content faster than developers can make it. And that's why wipes are happening. Is they get, now I don't have to develop, I can develop at the pace that I'm developing, but I can keep the content fresh for the player. And I think that's why developers like that. But it obviously comes with the negatives that we've shared today, and I don't think anything's going to be perfect. I don't see how our main game is going to survive without a subscription model or some form of wiping. And I don't think power creep is the answer either.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's a tough topic. It really is. There are some ideas out there that I think are pretty good ones, but they're not perfect. I think we've talked about them, a lot of them a day. Yeah, it's tough, man. And I don't envy being a game developer, especially CIG, developing a game at this scale
for everybody.
Yeah, it's a game for everyone.
Trying to make every man's game, and you're not going to win.
I'd say at the moment, bearing the economy stuff, at the moment, this patch is doing a pretty decent job, aside from stability, right? Of
stability and economy, but economy is a far out thing, I think. So
right, reputation too, and that's the big one for me. That's the big one for me. I just mean in terms of moving forward. This was a 3.18 was a huge update in terms of moving forward. And I would like to see another update like that happen, either this winter or spring next year, where it feels like a big step forward. And honestly, I don't know about you, man. I would be okay with a yearly update if they were big like this, where it felt like the game's a big step forward. Like, for example, 320 is coming out. It does not feel like a big step forward. And that was my main issue. What are we getting in the PU? The whole C? 32 SCU boxes? Okay.
A lot of fixes to 318.
Hopefully that's great. Hopefully that's great.
So how about this? I can buy into 1 to 2 patches a year, significant ones, as long as there's a number of fix patches to fix the issues.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying no sub patches, but I would like to see, personally, I don't like seeing a patch has a new number on it, unless like a 319 to 320 to 321, 322. I don't like seeing a new number on it unless it's a significant update, right? What makes 320 significant is the AC stuff, which I feel like is important, but it's not important. It's not significant to the PU, and I have a feeling it will be popular at first, but AC is never going to be the most popular thing for obvious reasons, right?
Yeah.
The arena mode in any video game, the practice mode in any video game is never the most popular, and there's a reason for that, right? So I don't know.
Unless they make a battle royale.
You know what I said, dude? You know what I really want in AC? Forge mode. Let us make our own battle royale, dude. Let us make our own gameplay. Dude, I really think that would be insane. I think that would be insane. It would be game over. Imagine a new wave of Halo custom games born in Star Citizen, the next generation. That would be insane, dude.
What was your favorite Halo game mode?
Like custom?
I don't know if it was custom, just the the standard ones.
The standard ones? I mean, Slayer, probably. Or
SWAT.
That was a good one. I take it back.
Fucking love
Dude,
SWAT, man.
The BR or the DMR. Oh my god.
You had to hit headshots. It forced headshots.
Yeah.
And I am a terrible FPS player, but SWAT back in the day, I felt like I was pretty decent, and that I loved that game mode. Loved it.
I played SWAT on Infinite. It was really fun. Really, really fun.
I had fun on it too. I kind of want to go back to Halo Infinite. A lot of people have talked a lot of crap about it. Maybe it's because of battle passes or whatever, but
I love the campaign. I played the whole thing.
I didn't yet. I am going to. So, little hint here. If I can get my shit together, in terms of like just schedule and time and just being better about it, where I want to be with my stream and everything is start the stream, maybe react to a video or two, play Star Citizen for a little bit, get some lunch, maybe eat lunch on stream, maybe take a break, and then pop back onto either my alt stream or my main and play something else. And I made a Let's Play channel on YouTube. And then go through all the Let's Plays of all the games that I've missed over all the years. Like, I want to go through all the Halo campaigns. I want to go through...
Have you not played the Halo campaigns?
I've played up to Halo 3.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Okay. You're not missing anything out. Don't even play 4 or 5.
No. I mean, that's why I stopped, because they weren't that great or whatever, right? But I still want to play through things, and not, maybe not just Halo, but Metal Gear Solid 5 is like one of the next things on my list, the Jedi games and stuff like that.
Yep. I haven't played those.
I want to experience more things. The problem is that shit takes up a lot of time, and we've talked a lot about content creation on the channel, and how am I supposed to make YouTube videos? There's not enough time in the day for this stuff, bro. But part of me, that's a place I want to be. I want to be able to share my experiences in video games, plural, with my audience. I want to get there, but I don't know if I ever will.
Yeah, fair enough, dude. Fair enough. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I also want to make that content that, is the the go-to guy
Yeah,
for like how the game works, you know?
it's scary for me, right? Because like for me, it's like I want to wake up every day with a goal in my head of what I want to do and what I want to play. And not only that, right? But also on top of that, it's like I want to make content that I feel like adds value to my community, whether that's just being entertaining or being, you know, like what you said, the go-to guy. Like it doesn't have to be like value is in like they have to learn something. Sometimes it's just funny or cool or interesting. And sometimes I get in my own head saying like, oh, well, they wouldn't want to watch me play that. And to be fair, some of them don't.
They show it by leaving when you go to
they leave.
play
I'll play another game and they're gone. And sometimes that's the case and sometimes it's not. It feels like less of the case when Star Citizen is doing really well. You know, when Star Citizen does well, I do well. And man, that is a terrifying place to be in. To feel like you are
to have a game that is almost impossible to do well.
We have this
for a long period of time, at least.
Right. We have this game that we're in this impossible place where we are doing our absolute, like I said, I feel like I'm in my zone. I'm doing my absolute best. You feel like you're in a kind of weird spot. I feel like you're doing great personally. And
thank you, but
yeah. But it's like neither of us can really grow any farther than we have until our game reaches a new level, right? And that's not anything that I could do. It's not anything that you could do. Speaking of progression, right? Progressing in our careers, it's just like we're doing our best.
All we can do is hone our skills now.
Yes, and that doesn't mean in-game skills.
Well, it could be, but
partially
for us, it's something I really need to do. We talked a little bit about, you know, me being a better dogfighter and things like that. But yeah, this is also the time like you're figuring out your YouTube groove, right? Like that is honing a skill right now, and that's one of the things we talked about right in the intro. Is you're setting yourself up for when you can tell cooler stories, or well, not cool. I can't. I feel like every time I say something, it's like almost putting down your content, which it hasn't. That's not the case. I hope you don't feel that way. Okay,
no, it makes sense
because that's because the possibility when something new comes out is it's a super fresh story that not only is cool to you because it's new, but like the viewer may never have heard of what you're doing and is, you know, like, whoa, you know, it just adds a little extra spice to it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
When a new patch comes out or whatever, but
I mean, it's the point is that even the best content creators are like capping out at a certain amount of views when it comes to Star Citizen content right now. And that's just because people have lost their interest, right? And that same video, same style could be released during a hot patch and get twice, triple, quadruple the views. And of course there's outliers, you know, don't tell me Bed Bananas posted his new video and he got 500k views. What are you talking about? Yeah, of course he did. You know, he's got a huge following and he doesn't just do Star Citizen. So he's going to bring people over. But the main point is that it's like you got to ride the waves as a content creator. And that's what we're both doing. I don't think that either of us are not progressing. We're just riding the wave.
No, I mean, we talked a lot about this too off stream I'm at my low point in terms of viewership in the last 7 months, and it is still 150. No, not 150. It's like 50% higher than my low point at this point last year.
Which is weird because we talked about this as well, and
where you're the opposite,
I'm lower.
Right?
I'm lower than I was last year. But my peaks was higher.
I'm stealing your views, bro. I'm stealing your views.
Yo, I'm hopping in the hot tub right now. I swear to God. No. It's like, I mean, I don't see other people as competition in the streaming space. If I'm losing views, the only person I'm competing with the only person I'm competing with is myself, right? And I personally think I'm making better content today than I was a year ago. So I don't think that it's anything I'm doing. I think I'm just, again, I'm riding the wave, you know?
Yeah.
I'm riding the wave.
Yeah. I think I think the game is fighting you from making the 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 most exciting content possible.
Right. But I was making more boring content 3 months ago when I was peaking at
Oh,
800 viewers.
100%.
You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I was still making good content, but I think the
Yeah.
content I'm making right now is better. I think it's
Do you
better.
think that do you think that's because of the I don't want to say dire situation, but the
Concurrency's down.
yeah, so does it make you feel like you want to work a little harder?
What do you mean?
For example, when your viewers are up, you're at 800 viewers a stream. You fucking turn on the stream. You can you
Right,
can
right. I
you
get what
can
you're saying.
you
You're
could sit there and eat a
mhm,
sandwich the whole time and they're gonna watch it,
right.
right? Like for whatever reasons, like you don't even have to try. That happens sometimes. Do you feel like because things aren't going as well, that you feel like you have to try harder, and
It
that's why you're
definitely
making
is
the best
nice.
content?
It definitely is nice to
Yeah,
investigate what you could be doing better. And I think that's
yeah,
something that everyone needs at any job is
yeah.
refreshers and reminders of like, how can I be doing a better
Mhm.
job? How can I be working harder? It's harder to do when it's something you don't love, like streaming, right? But it's definitely something that's nice every once in a while to like just remind yourself, like we were talking about at the beginning.
Yeah,
Just like kind of get back in the zone and talk out loud what your goals are and stuff, especially if it's something you're passionate about. Tell other people what your goals are. Try to keep yourself accountable to those. And
yeah.
that's something that I'm trying to remind myself right now as I'm at a quote unquote low point.
Yeah, like if there's other Star Citizen content creators out there, uh, we're doing great and we're super happy with where we are. Or if people are watching our stream, it's not we're not saying that those people don't matter or something like that. Like I don't feel like I'm at a low point. But we are.
Yeah,
It's
quote
just
unquote.
yeah, exactly. Like when you put the quotes up, it's like we're doing great, man. It's awesome. Like every day I turn on the stream, I'm still so happy. And I can't say it would have been the same situation a year or two ago for me.
Yeah.
Uh, during these dead times, I popped in game and it may not have been the most engaging content today, which is why I'm feeling like I'm trying to find my way. But I had something I wanted to do and I went out and I was doing it, and the game pretty much allowed me to do it. And it was fun. I enjoyed myself. It may not have been like sometimes as a streamer, you can be enjoying yourself and you're like, "Ooh, I just lost 100 viewers. Ooh, they're not enjoying it. Now I'm not enjoying myself." I just hid the view count today and I just did what I wanted to do, and I look
You
back,
don't
it
hide your
wasn't
view count normally?
I always do.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I
Always.
never look at it ever.
I look at it at the end of stream. There's days where I do. So if I'm doing something different, so for example, a stream like today, I had it on. I did mining basically the last 2 days, and the first day I turned it on, view count was great. Maybe they were expecting something else. The next day when I did the same thing today, I look back after I look at your stream summary or whatever, and I was like, ooh, ooh, maybe this isn't a good thing. But
I couldn't do that. Like I can't look at my numbers and stuff. I get too much in my head. You know, I say something weird or like make a joke that doesn't land, and all of a sudden I get self conscious. Like I just want to pretend in my head like there's 5,000 people watching all the time. You know, I want to make content that 5,000 people would want to watch. Does that make sense? Like
yeah,
I want to dress for the job I want. You know, not the job I have. And it's like I've been having great streams lately. I've been showing up, having good conversation with my chat, hanging out. I've been having fun moments in game, which is more than I could ask for in a moment where Star Citizen feels like it's in a downtime, right? So
what's funny? Today was one of the best like back and forth conversations I've had with chat in a long time too.
really,
Yeah, it was weird. The people that were there, like, it wasn't a super downstream. I was down like 20 viewers on average in comparison to like a normal stream. But even that can mess with your head a little bit, right?
yeah.
So that's why, like, you heard me at the start of the podcast today. It was, I'm, maybe it's because I'm looking at the numbers, and maybe it
Man,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be, I don't think, personally. Maybe you can
I
analyze
always look
afterwards,
after.
but
I always look
during,
after the
man,
stream.
during is
I always look.
tough because it affects your performance, I think. And for me, bro, what doesn't get me down is viewership. You know what gets me down, dude, is when the game doesn't let me do what I want to do. When it's like nothing's working. And some days it doesn't get me down. Some days it doesn't. But today, man, for whatever reason, I was having a rough day. And I don't know, man. I don't know. It just gets you sometimes.
The game has pushed me to my limit where I don't have the patience for it anymore. Like when it comes to that, like there'll be like anytime I set out with a goal and the game really fights me, and it does often, um I just give up now. Like I just don't have that resilience the way I maybe used to with it. And that's not a good thing. I gotta fight that as much as possible, but at the same time, it's really hard for me
I
to
think it's
not share genuinely how I feel in the moment.
I
And
agree.
in the moment, I just want to quit.
I
Not quit
agree.
streaming, or
Well,
just like I just don't want to do this right
I think
now.
what's hard is right now in the game, there's a lot of bugs that there are no workarounds for.
Yeah.
Invisible player, high ban within. It's like these are things you cannot control. And or big desyncs, right? People are completely synced. VoIP not working. There's no
Bro,
workarounds for that.
I can't tell you. I've taken there even this tomorrow or actually no, the day this podcast comes out. I probably at the time this podcast comes out, I'll be ending my stream, which is pretty early because like for the last like month, I've just been like I have family things that are going on, like issues at home that I have to deal with or whatever. And like I haven't been around as much on the weekends as I would like to be. And I don't I care, but I don't it doesn't matter. Like the game just is making it so difficult that it's like, well, I wouldn't do anything anyway in the game. So I'm like not even it doesn't bother me the way it would have in the past. It's weird. Um
Hmm.
I don't know. I want to get out of this depressive moment that I'm in right now.
Yeah, totally, dude.
Think happy thoughts. I mean, you're having a really you're having a really good time. I had a great time today. I think
It's funny we
um
switched, dude. You've been having a bad time lately. I've been having a good time lately. I had a bad time today.
yeah.
You had a good time today.
Yeah. It'll and we've talked plenty about, the situation I'm in with the game where I'm able to being more of a commentator when it comes to it. It makes it so much easier when the game's in this state. I don't have to play it, and I could still have a badass stream because I can just talk about something that's going on in the game, and I'll still get the same a lot of times more viewers than if I play it.
It's good content. I mean, I notice that too when I'm having good conversations. Numbers go up,
Yep.
chatters go up, and that's my favorite, right?
And numbers go up because people that normally would have left don't, right? It's the people are always coming in throughout the stream, but if you keep people there,
Yep.
that your numbers go up. That's
Totally.
the key.
Totally.
Yeah. I don't know.
Man.
It's probably a good place to end it, but
I was gonna say so too.
how do you
but
feel?
We're both progressing, man. I feel
Yeah.
I feel great, honestly.
I do too.
Yeah, it's like I see good things in both of our futures for content creation. I don't think it's like the cool thing is like no streamer is the sum total of one stream. You got a bad stream, you sign back on the next day and you give it your best shot. And don't be afraid to tell your audience either. I tell that to chat all the time and they understand because guess what? Like they know me, and it's people I literally I hang out with these people more than anyone else is my stream, right? And so sometimes I'll just level with them and be like, yo guys, like I'm having kind of a rough day. Like sorry for the low energy.
I spend more hours with my stream than I do with my wife.
Yep. Same here, except my girlfriend, right? My family, anyone. right? I spend more hours on stream than doing anything else in my life.
Yep.
And I think at the end of the day, it's because we're both streamers. We both care about our community, and we both want to make content with our community.
Yeah.
And man, I think good things are coming for both of us. Progress, man. I would have to say this winter is going to be a good season for both of us. I think leading up to that, probably going to be a little slow. You know,
Sure.
It's probably going to be a little slow.
Yeah, I think
That's okay.
I think once we hit CitizenCon, as long as that isn't a
Yep.
complete disaster, which I think it has a good chance of being one, we'll see. The maybe the hype train comes around, it'll be really exciting. But yeah,
I think people are going to be hyped, and I'm going to do my best, man, not to kill their hype. I'm going to do my best to not be like, oh, guys, well, this stuff probably isn't going to make it into the game. But I'm going to try really hard not to be that way.
I'll do my best to be the opposite. I will do my best to be like, there's no chance any of this stuff happens. Just chill out. Right.
I'm literally
what's coming in the next patch, guys. Let's focus on that. That's it. One patch at a time when it comes to our love Star Citizen. But yeah.
Yep. Definitely a lot of cool things that they showed off last year if they were coming into the game. But
sure.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Cool, dude.
I guess since we're heading out, we should remind you guys, if you made it this far, first off, thank you. Lots of awesome comments and you guys seem to really be enjoying it. Just reminding you again, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, we are almost at 1,000 subscribers. That is such a huge milestone for a new channel. So please, if you haven't yet, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your grandma to subscribe, whatever.
Your cats, your dogs, subscribe in an alt account. Make it happen.
We're, as far as I'm aware right now, we're 150 subs away. So please help us out.
I think we'll hit it.
And then again, like I said at the beginning, when we do hit that number right away, that's kind of my cue to start working on getting all of the previous episodes as well as every episode in the future to be on whatever your favorite podcast platform may be, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever. So that's my cue to start busting my butt on that. So yeah, get us there, and that's a huge milestone for us. And then I think it'll be a little bit easier for you guys to find us, and I'm looking forward to that. So I hope you guys enjoyed today. I enjoyed the conversation, Berks, as always, and this has definitely been a fun. It doesn't even feel like a side project anymore. It feels like something I just look forward to every week.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, it's probably one of my favorite things I do every week now, content creation wise. And it just feels so effortless, right? I get together, I talk with people I like, whether it's just Mike or with a guest, and then we get to upload it, minimal editing, and I feel like banger content for us, and also it's cool to have another outlet to like hang out with you guys. So yeah, again, thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you in the next episode. And I guess this is us signing off. See you next time.
Later.